everyone, it's Caroline here from Aussie Cards and Crafts. Thank you for joining me today. What I'm going to attempt to try and show you today is how to make this acetate window card. So you can see that there is an acetate window there. I have actually used a StazOn ink there because I didn't have any heat resistant acetate, but yeah, I think it's really nice. It's like a card within a card. This is my prototype. I used the Copic markers to colour that in, but as I said, this was only a prototype. What I'm going to do to show you now is I'm actually going to use some watercolour pencils to use. So this is basically a prototype of what I did, and then earlier this morning I decided that I'd make this one, which was supposed to be an acetate window card. I forgot to put the acetate in, so this is basically just a window card. Same principle, you need to cut out the same way, but before I stuck this top layer on, I should have put the acetate on with the heat embossed image on it. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's move right along and let's get started on another one, and we'll see how we go from there. So what I have done is I have heat embossed a very simple sentiment, which says sending wishes your way, because I'm not sure whether it's going to be a birthday or what it's going to be. There is my stamp, and this one always lends itself to being quite good if it's a nice large stamp. So there's my stamp. This is my die that corresponds with the stamp, and as you can see, the card that I'm using only just fits in. So now go through the sizes that you need. Firstly, you will need, I'll just grab that out of the way for the time being and bring this in so that you can see what I'm doing. So our first main base card, which is the one that is going to go, that you can actually see as my base here, that one is going to measure 10 inches by 7 inches. Now, this one was 10 inches by 5 inches, by 6 inches. And the reason I did this one that size was simply because some people don't have their die cutting machine that will fit a 7-inch in it. So what I've done instead is I did that one 6 inches. So if you've only got a smaller die and you've only got a 6-inch die cutting machine, don't panic, just cut it down a little bit and use a smaller die. For this particular die that I'm using, I do need the whole 5x7. So as I said, this one is 7 inches in height, and if you have a look, it is 10 inches along the top there. So on that piece, you then score at 5 inches, and that will give you your first and your biggest card base. The next piece you need is a little bit smaller, and this is the one that is going to go inside, so as it were a card within a card. Okay, so it's going to be this one here. And this one is going to be 9.5 inches by 6 3/4 inches. And along the 9.5 inch line, you then score. I won't score it the wrong way because I've already scored this one. I'll turn it over. You then score at 4 3/4. So there are your two base pieces, and you will see that they are two different sizes. On top of that, you also need some mats and layers and a piece of acetate as well. So for your mat, and your mat is the one, it's the pink one on this one, and there's your layer, and then there's the acetate. So for your mat, you're going to need a piece that is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. The layer is 4.5 by 6.5, and if I can find it, because I can never find this on the desk. This piece here is the same as this top piece. So that is going to be 4.5 by, let's see, where am I? By 6.5. However, what I then do is when I'm cutting them, I probably take, instead of the 4.5, I probably go 4 and 7/16. I just take a tiny smidge off, and the reason is I just don't want it showing beyond that card once it's been stuck down. So they're the pieces that we need. As far as your sentiment is concerned, I'm not going to give you measurements for that because it depends on what sentiment you're going to use, but one obviously that will fit on your card. So let me grab that out of the way. And your largest piece of card, okay, which is this one here, you fold that in half, making sure it's nice and straight, and burnish it. It's really important you burnish really well on all of these cards. So that is the outside of our card. The other piece, which is going to go inside, once again, you do the same thing. So you're going to, there we go. Make sure it's at the right spot and then burnish. I'm going to pop that aside for one moment because I'm not going to be working on that just yet. What I am going to be working on is making sure that I get all of these lined up. Now, to do this, what we need to use is washi tape or any kind of low tack tape. So, and I really must stress that it's really important that it is low tack. We do not want to take anything off of these, anything off of the paper. And these have been well and truly used before, so there is very little tack in them. So I'm going to pop that one there, and I'm then going to put this one over the top. And I will put that there. And this one here. Now what we need to do is we need to position our, and it's up to you which way you want it to go. It can go that way or it can go that way. I think I like it that way best. And you can see this only just fits in. I know it does because I measured it before, but it does only, excuse me, only just fit into this piece. So I will position it so that, I might do it the other way actually. That's strange, it seems to fit better that way than this way, but there is a square card, so it can't. So okay, that will do for that one. And you then need another piece of washi tape to basically keep that in place. So pop that piece there. I'm sure I've got some more around here somewhere. And I'll put that one there. Now what I need to do is I would actually like, this is an A4 machine that I've got, and because I don't want to, I want to make sure that I don't have any marks on my card because it's a white card base. I am actually going to put that over the top. Okay, so pop this through. Now, it's probably going to take a few passes to get this through because we are going to be going through 3 layers of card here. So we'll just might put it on the bottom next time. Okay. So we take that first one off very carefully. We do not want to damage our card. And you can see that that piece has come out quite successfully. So I can take that piece off. Next, we need to re-put this on there. Now, because, let me just have a little look here. Because it's already got an indentation, it's really very easy to lay this over the top and get it in the right spot. And it will just fit in. I still use a little bit of washi tape because I think that that just ensures that it holds it in the right spot. So I'll leave that there. And then I'm going to run it through again. And I'm going to run it through twice this time because I don't, for some reason I was having difficulty getting that top one out. So I'll pop this one through twice. Put a piece of card over the, a piece of paper over the white. So let's see how we went with this one. Okay, so we'll take, this is cut, so that's not a problem. We'll take that washi tape off and this piece of washi tape off. And then we will take this off and that off. Card actually might be thicker than what I've used before, and that could be why it's not falling through like it does, like it did last time. So let's just get that out for you. And there is our second piece. So as you can see, if we take the washi tape off of here, and again this side, you now have 2 pieces that sit right on top of each other and they are perfectly lined up. The last one we've got to do is this one here, and you can see that it has started to come through. So once again we will line up our die, making sure all fits together. As I say, it's pretty easy to do because it's already got indentation in there. So we'll pop that piece on there and we'll put that piece there and run it through one more time, which will make it. So that down there, this should be the last piece. Yes, that's coming out beautifully. So there we have it. I'll keep my washi tape for other projects. Pop that up there. So now if we fold our card again, just stick with my plates. If we fold the card again and burnish it, because we've just basically flattened it open, now we want it to be folded again. And now you will see what we have is that one there, and we also have that one there, and they all fit together perfectly because they're die cut. And what we're going to do is we're going to stamp an image in there, and we're also going to use this stamp to stamp in gold for the outline for the acetate. So with your piece of acetate, what we now need to do is we need to make sure that we've got it in the right spot. So I'll pop that up there, and my acetate is just here. I'm going to pop that right down into the corner, and we need to make sure that this stamp is going to be in the right spot. So the reason I've got that on there, and I will actually just put my magnets there just to hold it. Now, so, gee, that's not too bad. Just need to go up just a little bit. Maybe to there. And then when you put your other piece over, you know, I'm pretty happy with that. I think what I will do is use it. So just press on that, make sure that we can get the there. We know that it's right in the corner of our stamping platform, so I'll put that one there and this one here. And I am going to use I think I'm going to use silver, not gold today. So there's my silver. And for this one, I'm going to use the Versamark ink pad. It's like, basically, it's like a glue that you put on there. Please make sure that you cover your stamp well with this. This is a Stampin' Up, is it? Yeah, Stampin' Up product. So there we go. Now, what I will also do is I will use some anti-static on my acetate here, and then I will stamp that down, pressing down very, very well, because you're really only going to get one try on this one. Now, you're not going to be able to see that on the video. You will have to wait until I put the gold on, but I'll put the gold on now, and you the silver on. You should see that coming through. I've never used the heat resistant acetate before. In fact, Deb, my sister-in-law, gave me a couple of sheets yesterday. I have got some on order, but I didn't actually have any to do the sample, so she gave me some. And you'll actually see that I have missed pieces. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. I think for this particular one, we're just going to have to leave it. But it's really, 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 and I can't stress the importance of really making sure that you have covered your stamp with that Versamark, because I've obviously missed a couple of places, or I've missed a couple where I've pressed down, but it's too late now. So I'm going to go with what I've got, and if I can fix it a bit later, I will. Now, what we need, this is supposedly heat resistant, and I'm hoping it is, and as I said, I've never used it. So I'm going to grab my cork board, just there, and I'm going to put it down there, and let's see if the magic happens. Always heat your gun up. The gun that I've got is a Emboss It heat tool, and it would be probably 30 years old, so don't let people say that things don't last. As you can see, I didn't press very hard on those particular points there, so unfortunately it hasn't embossed there, but that's fine. I'm not going to worry about that. What I will do is I will now pop part of the card together for you. While I've still got my stamp out, what we also need to do is we need, and I'll just clean that off, because we now need to stamp that in black so that it can be coloured in on the other card. So I'll put that there. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to position this second card within that first card. So once again, use your washi tape for that. Make sure you've got lovely even borders, and use your washi tape and tape it down. The next thing we need to do is place this on the board again. And once again, I'm going to put this right the way down to the corner. And what we need to do is we need to line this up with, I might pop these down here for the time being. I can move them in a moment. But what we need to do is we need to line up our stamp to make sure that where we're actually stamping it is lined up with this aperture that we've cut here. Because I can't close my lid, so I have that down there. Once again, you can see that that does line up, but you need to have the aperture here. So I will put my magnet there, and once again I will pick up my stamp, and this time I'm actually going to use the Tuxedo Black, and I'm going to then colour this in, and I'm going to use watercoloured pencils. I will start colouring it in on the video, but I will actually switch the video off because it will take me a little while to do this, and I'm sure you don't want to see me just colouring in. So making sure that we have got everything covered on this stamp, and it's much easier when it's black to actually see. You then need to bring that over and making sure you press down and hold it. Let that ink transfer onto that card. Sometimes when you've got magnets on there, it doesn't necessarily press right down as much as you would like it to. That's why I just moved it. There we go. And there is our stamped image. So when we eventually have everything else on top there, we are going to have the same stamped image on our acetate. Okay, so the acetate will then go over that, and you will see that it's going to look absolutely stunning. And then you open it and it's going to be colourful. So what I'll do is I'll start doing the colouring while we're live, and then I will switch off while I finish it. It's not hard to do. You can either do it with Copics. I did the first one with Copics. I've decided I want to do this one with watercolor pencils, because I really do like the watercolor pencils. So I've got a set here. I use Derwent. I know you can get better ones, but these ones are actually really quite good. They're inexpensive, and I just enjoy using them. I also use a wet brush here. So basically you fill this part with water, you squeeze there and you'll get water that comes through. I'm going to use this piece of paper just to make sure that my water that's coming through is actually clean water, because you can see that there are marks on my brush. So I'll start it off, and then I'm going to switch it off, and you can then you'll see the finished product. So with the leaves, I'm going to start with the leaves. I'm going to do a couple of greens with the leaves. Okay, so I'm going to use those, and these are light green and dark green. With the dark green, I'm going to basically just pretty much trace where the black marks are. Okay, also probably around the edges a little bit, make them a little bit darker. Entirely up to you. I'm not that good at colouring in and blending. It's not one of my fortes, but I think that's probably why I like the watercolour. I'm going to use the other one, and I'm just going to colour that in. And then what we do with the water is we then blend those together. So I get my water pen, and I know that it's already clean, and you can see how we can blend those colours together. And it makes it more like a paint than what it does a colouring pencil. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish this, and then I will come back once it's all finished. Okay, so that took a little bit of time, but there is my watercolor. Still a little bit wet, but it's done with watercolor pencils, and as I say, I use the Derwent ones. There's many of them around. I had never even heard of them before, but yeah, evidently they're a happening thing. So this now will be placed in here. I won't do it just yet. I will do that afterwards. But as you can see, the way that it is placed in there, you will see all of the beautiful flowers and the leaves, and you will have this over the top. So the next thing we need to do is we need to assemble our mats and layers and our acetate. Now, to do the acetate, I'm going to put the glue on here, and then I'm going to stick it onto the acetate. So once your glue is on, just make sure there's none there, you now need to lay this over, making sure that it all lines up. And you remember that I cut that piece of acetate just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit smaller. So as you can see, it is stuck, but it does not go over the edges. Yes, it does. It just goes over a little bit there. So I can bring that down just a little bit. If not, I can trim it off. So I'm not overly concerned. So that's the top piece. The next piece will go on like so. Once again, making sure that it matches perfectly to the apertures that you've cut out. So and then you put this one over that one, and you should have your borders matching once again. And the fact that we're using glue gives us just that little bit of wiggle room. And there we go. There we have that. Next, we need to put this one onto there. Okay, so there we have that. And now comes the magic part. What we now need to do is we now need to line this one up with that. Okay, so effectively you shouldn't see any of the black lines, except, as I said, my acetate didn't get embossed just there. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to hold that there, and that's pretty reasonable idea where it's got to go. So I'm going to pop it down where I think it needs to go, and then with my other hand I'm just going to wiggle it into position like so. Just needs to come down just a tad. And there we have it. There is the bases of our card. All we need to do now is to put a sentiment on. Now I'm not sure where that's going to fit, whether it's going to be there. It can be down the bottom. It can cover over some of the rest. I'm going to use some double-sided foam tape for this one because I think that it needs it. And I think I'm going to be probably popping that up about there. Or maybe down here, I think. That's where I need some of you to be saying, no, no, Caroline, do this, do that. But you can't see me at the moment. So because I'm going to be sticking it onto acetate on part of that, I'm going to use red tape for this one. So I'll just pop a couple of... And there we have it. There is our acetate window card. And of course you can use the black like I did originally. If you prefer the black rather than the gold, that's quite all right as well. And of course, if you prefer not to put your acetate on, that's quite all right as well. But as I say, that was a mistake. I will write down here on this one. But yeah, there we go. We've got our card just there, and we've got the other one just here. So thank you for joining me today. It probably was a little bit fiddlier than what most of my cards are. I do try and keep them as simple as possible. I guess a couple of major points here is when you're doing your heat resistant acetate, make sure that you do use your Versamark and make sure that it is totally covered, because this one wasn't. And yeah, I think you don't have to, but I think a corkboard is good because you can then keep it flat so it doesn't bend. I also think that when you're doing your cut throughs, you must use that tape and you must line them up properly. If you don't do that, it's really going to affect the outlook of your card. Yeah, it's follow the instructions, and I guess it's going to be there for you. You can see I've done this around slightly different way because that one was bigger. This one was my prototype, as I say, because I didn't have the heat resistant acetate at that stage. I have got some on order, so if anybody wants any, please let me know. I'm more than happy to send some to you. I dare say that will be up on my website. So thanks for joining me. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because that really does help. Also, if you're not a member of our Facebook site, please go head over to Facebook and look up Aussie Cards and Crafts and put us a request in. We would love to have you on board. some of the creations that people come up with there are just amazing, and I do get a lot of my inspiration from them. So they're a lovely bunch of people. They're very, very, very friendly, and yeah, I'm very proud to be part of the Aussie Cards and Crafts group. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you soon, where I'm going to have another aperture card. I'll see you soon. Bye.